reputation of my own. Where do I come off? Suppose this old what's-his-name is alive and I prove it. Where's your reader interest? Where's your story?
Hollywood's greatest disappearing act. Picture a man so good at make-believe that even his life story became a living illusion. Spencer Tracy flashed onto the silver screen like a supernova. 1 minute, an altar-dodging kid from Milwaukee, the next, a two-time Oscar king who eclipsed Clark Gable and humbled Hitchcock's stiffest leading men. Yet while headlines yelled genius, his real triumph was hiding disaster in plain sight. Secret binge-drinking, a clandestine 25-year love with Katharine Hepburn, and rumors, still argued over today, that the affair itself masked something even riskier. Stay tuned. By the time we reach his heart-stopping exit only 2 weeks after filming Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, you'll understand why his most gripping role never rolled in theaters. Runaway rebel in a collar-tight world. Childhood for Spencer Bonaventure. Tracy felt like living inside a confession booth. His father, John, an iron-spined Irish Catholic salesman, measured achievement in Sunday Mass attendance and perfect report cards. Spencer gave him neither. School records from St. Rose's list 38 unexplained absences in a single semester. Legend says he once sneaked out a side door, skipped across railroad tracks, and spent the entire day watching the Great Train Robbery on repeat, memorizing every grimace to mimic for neighborhood kids that evening. When the parish priest scolded him, he counterpunched with charm. He'd flash his crooked grin, rattle off Latin recitations he'd learned purely to get teachers off his back, then vanish for another matinee. Even Big Brother Carol, destined for business respectability, couldn't corral him. Spence treats rules like they're suggestions, one teacher sighed. What finally yanked him straight? Ironically, the U.S. Navy. At 17, still wet behind the ears, Tracy and best friend Pat O'Brien falsified their birthdays and shipped out in 1917. Within weeks, he was swabbing Norfolk ship decks, learning to swear, and crucially, learning to listen, really listen, to dialects, mannerisms, stories. Later, he'd recycle them into characters that felt startlingly real. But when the armistice guns went silent, Spencer's war with expectations had only just begun. Discharged, Tracy drifted to Ripon College on the GI Bill because, well, O'Brien went and somebody had to split the rent. Fate intervened when a debate coach spotted Tracy heckling from the back row, handed him a stack of cue cards, and dared him to argue, resolved, movies are modern poetry. Spencer won the round in 10 scorching minutes. The high of commanding an audience's pulse forever fused to his DNA. That swagger carried him to New York's American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Days were Shakespeare, nights, double shifts selling vacuum cleaners door to door, where he perfected the 1,000-watt smile that could sell Hamlet himself, a dustbuster. During one brutal winter, he and O'Brien reheated canned beans on a radiator, gambling every cent on audition car fare. If Broadway won't have us, he joked, we'll start our own street lamp theater. Turns out, Broadway obliged. In 1930, the death row drama The Last Mile crackled so hot that director John Ford skipped intermission to rush backstage. "Kid, you look like a bulldog chewing wasps," Ford growled, "and that's exactly what I need opposite Bogart." Within a month, Tracy had a Fox contract, a cross-country train ticket, and a wife, Louise Treadwell, picked up on the touring circuit. Hollywood lights beckoned, but they'd soon expose cracks even a Navy hull might leak through. Fox frustrations and the MGM lifeline. Fox Studios worked newcomers like coal mine ponies, 14-hour days, bargain bin scripts, weekend pay. Between 1931 and 34, Tracy churned out 20 features, Goldie, 20,000 Years in Sing Sing, and more, often opposite starlets, elevating both the poster art and his blood pressure. Critics loved him, audiences warmed, but the box office sagged. Tracy fumed, telling a reporter, "They've got me playing bootleggers who can't even find good liquor." Enter Louis B. Mayer. The MGM titan spotted a different currency, authenticity. Clark Gable cornered rugged glamour. Tracy could mine quiet power. Mayer outbid Fox. In 1935, flew Tracy into Culver City and handed him Fury, Fritz Lang's lynch mob thriller that let Tracy simmer rage like nitroglycerin. 1 year later, San Francisco netted his first Oscar nod, then came the 1-2 knockout. Captains Courageous and Boys Town, the consecutive Oscar feat, remains a Hollywood unicorn whispered about in backstage green rooms. Yet even while fans shoved for autographs, Spencer kept glancing over his shoulder, as if he half expected to see the demons he drank to forget. He didn't have to look hard. They were already waiting in his dressing room. Demons in the dressing room. Spencer's offset reputation could fill entire chapters of bar ledgers. Musso and Frank's waiters claim he once rang up a $300 bourbon bill during Prohibition. Studio fixers trailed him like paramedics, bribing doormen, smoothing over black eyes dished to unlucky hecklers. Director George Cukor allegedly scheduled Tracy's scenes before noon, knowing his hands grew steadier the fewer hours he'd had to find a bottle. Home offered little refuge. Johnny, his firstborn, arrived profoundly deaf. Spencer dissolved in guilt and whiskey, while Louise channeled hers into activism, founding the John Tracy Clinic for hearing-impaired children. By the mid-30s, their marriage resembled two polite roommates trading schedules on the fridge. Catholic doctrine forbade divorce, so Tracy doubled down on penance. Sunday Mass, rosary beads in his pocket, then straight to the Brown Derby for three-finger pours. Affairs came and went, Loretta Young, maybe Jean Tierney, but booze remained the constant mistress. One crew member recalled Spencer stumbling on set, slurring a line, then nailing the scene in a single, achingly perfect take moments later. It was as if the alcohol unlocked a portal to genius, he said. Sadly, that portal swung both directions. And in 1942, through that same portal, stepped a razor-sharp Yankee who'd rewrite his life script. A love too big for the cameras. Chemistry, that word barely covers the voltage when Katharine Hepburn squared up against Tracy in Woman of the Year. She tossed quips like dynamite. He diffused them with a single eyebrow. Off camera, the sparks nearly burned the soundstage. Within weeks, they'd devised an espionage-level code. Separate studio entrances, staggered restaurant arrivals, twin cottages connected by a hedged path only insiders knew existed. Hepburn, all New England steel, loved order. Tracy, Midwestern chaos. Together, they became the yin-yang Hollywood never let the public see. Over 25 years, they filmed 9 classics. Adam's Rib, she verbally outguns him. Pat and Mike, he coaches her to victory. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, a final on-screen goodbye, so raw the crew wept. In private, they were fierce protectors. When gossip columnists hovered, Hepburn would flash them her best aristocratic chill, buying Tracy time to circle a back alley. Friends tell of her waiting up nights, reading him script pages while counting his drinks, sliding the glass away after number 2. Yet some historians argue their bond is only half the story. Because decades later, a Hollywood fixer blew the lid off an entirely different rumor, the kind studios once buried at any cost. Whispers from the underground meet Scotty Bowers, the Marine-turned-gas station attendant whose 2012 memoir, Full Service, and the 2018 doc Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood drop-kicked old studio secrets onto TMZ-era pavement. Bowers claimed he arranged same-sex encounters for closeted A-listers, including, he said, Tracy and Hepburn. Did the golden couple shield dual identities? Or were they simply protecting a relationship the Catholic Midwest and conservative studios couldn't stomach? The debate reignited with 2023's Call Me Kate, where letters hint at Hepburn's fluid affections. Meanwhile, Tracy biographers argue his intense Catholic shame could never have survived such duality. Yet rumors persist because they tap into a bigger question. How many Hollywood legends were forced to construct perfect facades while living entirely separate truths? Whether Bowers peddled fact, fantasy, or some combustible mix, his tales remind us that the Tracy Hepburn saga might be less fairy tale romance, more genius pact for mutual survival, under morality clauses that made today's NDA culture look like a handshake. Even rumor mills paused, however, when health started exacting its non-negotiable toll. Fade in light, final blaze. The first serious scare hit in 1963. Congested lungs locked him in Cedars-Sinai for weeks. Doctors warned, quit acting or quit breathing. Tracy nodded politely and signed on to Stanley Kramer's all-star chaos comedy, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World Anyway. On set, he wheezed between takes, but when cameras rolled, he commanded the frame like the Navy captain he once pretended to be. Diabetes followed, along with blood pressure spikes that made insurance brokers blanch. Hepburn moved into his Beverly Hills home full-time, her roll-top desk replaced by prescription charts. By Inherit the Wind, 1960, his tremor required stealthy cutaways. By Judgment at Nuremberg, 1961, cameramen lit his face softer to hide sudden gauntness. Fans thought the fragility was pure acting, proof of his genius. Few realized life was imitating art in real time. The Swan Song came in 1967. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner tackled interracial marriage, a topic still illegal in 17 states. Tracy, battling heart disease, filmed seated scenes first to conserve stamina. Co-star Sidney Poitier recalls Tracy gripping the table until his knuckles blanched, refusing extra takes. If I give you gold once, don't ask for bronze twice. They wrapped on May 24th. 2 weeks later, in the hush before dawn, Hepburn heard a glass shatter and found him collapsed in the kitchen. The legend was gone at 67. Awards poured in, yet the emptiness Hepburn felt couldn't be gilded with statuettes. Immortal, imperfect, irresistible. Newsboys hawked Tracy dead across L.A., but inside sound stages his presence lingers. Acting school professors still screen Bad Day at Black Rock to demonstrate minimalist power. Watch the silence between his lines, they tell students. Tom Hanks calls Tracy my North Star, and Daniel Day-Lewis studied his cadence before shooting There Will Be Blood. The American Film Institute locks him at number 9 on its male legends list, yet younger cinephiles discovering him on streaming platforms often ask a different question. How did he fool everyone for so long? Maybe that's the ultimate mark of mastery. He sold the world a man at peace while waging inner war, made honesty look effortless while living under secret contracts of the heart. Was he a sinner chasing redemption, a saint wrestling vice, or simply human in an era demanding marble statues? The answer lies, as always, somewhere in the glimmer between spotlight and shadow. Katharine Hepburn summed it up decades later, voice catching in a rare interview. Spence lived on the edge of a cliff, but when he stepped in front of that camera, the ground became solid for all of us. Which brings us to the curtain call, and the lesson every dreamer should pocket before exiting the theater. Spencer Tracy's story isn't a nostalgic sepia snapshot. It's a caution sign flashing neon today. In an age where social feeds demand curated perfection, remember the actor who carried two worlds, public triumph, private chaos, and still left audiences breathless. Next time you scroll past a glossy celebrity post, ask yourself, what hidden battles ignite that flawless smile? And if a Midwestern kid who cut class for Nickelodeon flicks could climb from ship decks to Hollywood Olympus, imagine what truths might be quietly blazing behind your own highlight reel. So hit like, share the legend, and drop a comment on which Spencer Tracy performance hits you hardest. Because the reel ends, but the conversation, like the legend, rolls forever.